Hi, my name is Ron Lehman. I'm from the Faux School in Frederick, Maryland, where I teach decorative painting workshops and complete commission projects. Today, I'm going to talk to you about pigments. You've heard me refer to pigments a lot in all the videos. So this is not a technique video, this is an information video about pigments. I use pigments to tint glaze, paints, plasters, wax. Anything I need to change the color of, pigments are going to do it. Now, there's a lot of different pigments out there. It can be very confusing. First thing about pigments. The ones I've been working with for the probably past 15 years are made by a company called Mixol. These guys, right here, all right? See that? Mixol. All right, always shake them up because they rest, settle. Here's the cool thing, they never freeze. That doesn't mean keep them in a shed where they could possibly. Don't push that, but there's nothing in there to really freeze. There's no water in them. There's also no binder in them. So when you take these pigments, if you think, I like this color, and try to paint with it, like let's say you're doing a mural or something, or shadowing or highlighting, whatever it is, and you just squirt some on your palette and take a brush and put it on the wall or the surface, it's never going to dry. Never going to dry. And that's true with just about every type of pigment out there. You've got like Proline, Cal Tint, the Degussa series. So there's so many different types out there. It'll make your head spin. The cool thing is you don't need to go crazy buying all these different ones. Learn some color theory and you can pretty much do anything with 3 basic colors or 3 primary colors. You can make all your colors from that. But the nice thing is with companies that do make pigments, they make lots of pigments. This is just half of a set, and I'm missing 2 colors. And they come, this company makes them, and they sell this rack separately as well. And the basic line for them is 24 colors, and they pretty much got everything you could imagine. There's all kinds of yellows, there's different greens, there's different browns, but you don't need them all. They also make them in little small tubes, like these little guys, and they make a larger one. They're made from Mixol is based out of Germany. I like them for a couple different reasons. One is you have red caps versus clear caps. Okay, do you see that? The difference is oxide, less likely to fade in sunlight. You know, sometimes you'll see people that painted their houses. It's not happening as much anymore because the new water-based technology from the paint store pigments are getting much better. However, it still happens. Red tends to fade to pink. Dark blue fades out to like robin's egg or baby blue. With oxide colorants, they don't fade. They're also lime stable, so you can put them in your lime plasters. But I will put this in my glazes to do my marbling techniques, my wood graining techniques. If I want to do an entire wall, I can tint it with this. When you use the right kind of glaze, I can tint my lime plasters. I can tint anything. The biggest thing about learning to tint or color your own materials is the basic rule of 10%. Once you change the material by more than 10% by volume, meaning if you have a gallon of plaster and you put all of this in that plaster, it could cause the plaster to break down and it won't work properly, meaning it might not dry right, it might not dry, it might bubble, it might do all kinds of things. So don't get crazy adding pigment. And what happens is when you use sometimes, I don't want to say, how do I say it properly? Some of the less expensive pigments are more for glazes and other types of materials or bumping colors. Like when I was a kid learning from my dad, now we would go to the store, they would make the paint, and sometimes we put it on the wall and he didn't quite like the color. He would bump the color using the pigments. Tinting is different from scratch because if you don't have the proper base, let's say let's going to use the paint example. When you buy paint, it comes in different bases. White base, extra white. It could be mid-tone, deep and transparent. Those mean they already have a starting point or to go from to add a little bit of pigment to get them where you want to go to. You're not going to get black using extra white. It can't be done. It's always going to be a shade of gray, and at some point you're going to put so much black pigment into that extra white, it will break down the product and fail. So less expensive pigments are often less concentrated or not as concentrated as some of the other higher, more expensive pigments. And it's more expensive because it's simply concentrated color, there's more of it, so you're getting better bang for your buck. Some of these colors in these kits right here, I've had for 10 years. I don't use them that much. it's cool to look at, but that's a waste of money. I don't need them, because when I started adjusting colors, when I started taking the primary colors and making the colors I wanted to get to, and some colors just aren't necessary. I mean, I have just 2 yellows right here, and there's probably, here's 3 different 26. There's your 7. Well, that's 26 as well, sorry. But I think there's 4 yellows, there's like 4 greens. You don't need all of those. You just start bumping things here and there. But there's nothing wrong with some of the other products out there. Like I have a set of Pro Lines. I think I have a set of Cal Tints. The problem is you're not going to find them in paint stores anymore. And the reason is people didn't know how to use them. They would go to the paint store, buy the pigment, and take an old gallon of paint and try to change the color and really push the color in a different direction, and it would break down. They go back to the paint store a year later and go, hey, this paint didn't last, it failed. And it's like, well, this isn't the color that says it on the can. Oh, I changed it. Not me, but somebody changed it. And they go, you've changed the molecular structure of the product. We can't warranty it because we don't know what you did to it. So they took a lot of the pigments out of the paint stores. Now, at paint stores, you can still buy pigments like Blend-A-Color. I believe this is from Degussa. These are good. There's nothing wrong with them at all. But a lot of paint stores won't even sell these to you because they're like, well, what are you going to do with it? I don't know. I'm going to tint with it. What do you think I'm going to do with it? But they make you crazy. There's nothing wrong with those. And the reason I have those is I actually have a tinting system here in the studio. So I can actually go and tint. I have books with formulas in them for Sherwin-Williams, the old Duron company, some Martin Senor, some other companies. So I can actually go over to that machine. I have a 16 canister carousel, shoot the color into the exact paint color that I want, and put it in my mixer, and I have it. So it works out when I'm doing big walls. So if I could take a gallon or 5 gallon, match it if I'm doing a glazing technique or plaster technique, and I want Sherwin-Williams, whatever, like, who knows, SW2832, some whatever number that is. It's probably some crazy one. Tinted exactly from the machine. I don't have to worry about this. It's metered exactly right. If I run out, I can come back and make another batch, and it's going to be color consistency. That's another important thing with making colors. Keep notes. Either have a syringe so you can pull out the exact amount of color. Keep exact notes on what you did, how you did it. That way, if you have to come back later for your touch-up or somebody damaged the wall for some reason, you have the material. Some people, and we do it too, where we'll take the leftover product, label it, and leave it with the client. The problem is they might move, it might get lost, it could freeze, it could go bad, or simply get thrown away over the time frame. So I think I covered everything about pigments. Let's kind of go back over it real quick. I use the mixols, which I showed you again. Cleans up with soap and water, and it's all over my hand. This stuff, I mean, it's concentrated. When I go over to the sink, it's probably going to take me about 2 or 3 washes to get it all off, because it just looks like it just keeps coming and coming and coming. It's like, where is this coming from? It'll tint anything out there. Has no binder, so it won't stick to a wall. Do not use it as paint. I'm going to say it again. Do not use pigments like paint. They will not stick to the surface. They will never dry, and they will wipe right off. If you bump it with your shirt, it's going to get on your clothing. And I believe that's it. So again, this is the medium size. This is the small size. I don't have any of the large sizes. I tend to just keep a lot of the little guys here in the studio. And of course I have these. And if I get a job where I need to get a larger quantity of the pigment, I just order it as needed. Because it doesn't do good just to buy it and have it sitting here. It takes up real estate, it gets in the way, and it costs me money to sit there and collect dust. So I only keep it around what I need. Keep the tile lids on tight. Sometimes I will store them upside down, meaning that way if they settle and the resin comes to the top that's in here, it goes up here, and the heavy concentrated pigment is here. That way when I get back, I just kind of shake it up a little bit more. Whatever. I do, sometimes I don't. It doesn't matter to me. Because the trick is I don't want them sitting. I want them being used. I want them to be making samples. That way if I'm making samples, I'm doing jobs, I have cash flow. And that's very important when you're in business. Okay, that's it for pigments. If you have any questions, ask me down below. I'll come back, do the best that I can to answer them in a timely fashion. And if you're interested in some of these pigments, again, there's links down below in the comment section where you can buy them. My name is Ron Lehman. I'm from the Defoe School. Thank you for watching.